Hello. Mic check. So I think we are now recording. Can you hear me, Franz?
Yep, loud and clear.
Okay. All right. So this is the so we are now towards the tail end of September, but this is actually the August edition of Book Lovers Club, right? So we've been a little bit busy. If you can recall last time, I think Francis also had like a connection with his internet, but I believe everything is fine now. So for September, for the September book, which is of course The Fisherman by Jean Langan, we're gonna be discussing it. Early October, right? So definitely the first half of October, because in the final half we will be doing the Uzumaki by
Uzumaki.
Uzumaki, yes, by Junji Ito. And yeah, so today, of course, if I think we mentioned this last time, we'll be talking about Brandon Sanderson's The Emperor's Soul, a very short novella that it won in 2013. It won the Hugo Award. And I think, if you recall, I think that year 2013, when that Hugo Award was when he won that, Ken Liu, the one, you remember, who wrote Paper Menagerie.
Yeah.
uh yeah, Ken Liu won that year as well for the short story, but not Paper Menagerie, but the other one, Mono no Aware, or Mono no Aware, something like that. Also a very good short story, so maybe we can tackle that in the future. But yeah, this is a bit weird, for Brandon Sanderson, because usually when you hear the name Brandon Sanderson, you think of epics. You have like, for example, his very famous The Stormlight Archive. I've mentioned this to Francis before. The length of the first three books, and he said that that's gonna run for like 10 volumes. He is now on the fourth volume, and then I think the fifth volume is coming out. But the first three volumes alone is more than the entire length of the Harry Potter series, which, if you imagine, was composed of like 7 books, right? So the first three books alone is like more than the entire Harry Potter series. And it's because, like, I think one book is almost like 2,000 pages, something like that. So it's
Mm.
insane. It's like he is able to how do you say this, contain a lot of novels and sub stories. So it's really like the definition of epic, Brandon Sanderson. But yeah, sometimes you can't imagine him writing, something that is very self-contained, very tiny, but it was this. And in fact, in one of his interviews, he usually, every time he finishes a long novel, he does things like this, like novella or short stories, as some sort of a palate cleanser, so that he won't be it so that it doesn't become stale, right? Like, he gets
Yeah.
scrapped in the series, in the world that he creates. So if you're only like creating one series, right, sometimes, I don't know, if you're the one creating it, it can become tedious, right, sometimes. And
Yeah.
maybe it will affect the story or something like that. Or I don't know, maybe you get pressured that you can't do it, you
Mm.
can't come back to it anymore, just like George R. Martin with his Song of Ice and Fire, which until now, we're waiting for the next book, is not yet there. So it helps, Brandon Sanderson have a fresh eye, every time he goes in here. So sometimes he creates like one standalone novel after an epic. But yeah, sometimes he creates a novella if it's not tied with the main series, and then it's a standalone. So in here, yeah, we're gonna be talking about the Emperor's Soul. So let's go, Franz, very quickly to the non-spoiler version. How would you sell this to someone who haven't read Emperor's Soul without us spoiling it?
Um, for Emperor Soul, so we have Shy, one Shy, forgot. So
Yeah, they have like some weird Asian names, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm still not very familiar with Brandon Sanderson's universe, but I think it's still within the Stormlight universe, right?
Yeah, in the not just Stormlight, but in the other Mistborn, he has this thing. He has a universe called Cosmere, and yeah,
Mhm.
it happens within that universe. Yeah.
So here, in Emperor Soldo, their world wasn't really fleshed out in this novella, but we have here one Shai Lu. She is a forger. So
Mm.
in in our world, yeah, the forger here is kind of the same with their world, but they do something magical with their forgery, like they apply they I think instead of doing I mean they can do the forgery stuff physically, but they
Mm.
also apply some kind of magical um
They
technique.
put us they put a stamp.
Yeah, they put a stamp, they
Yeah.
apply a magical technique to modify an object and make an almost depending on the also on the skill level of the forger. So it's not like even if you're a novice forger, you can just create a stamp and create an exact copy. But yeah, it will also depend on their skill if they can exactly replicate or forge the thing that they were making. So here we have one Shai Lu, a forger who was she was in the capital of the empire, right? She was
Mm.
caught stealing painting, and she replaced it with her own forgery. So we begin with the scene where we just call her Shai. Shai was in a holding cell, so it was a special cell that was made for her kind or other perhaps any other people with some sort of magic where it would negate some of their magical skills. So
Mm.
and we have and we have the arbiters. Were there the arbiters or
Arbiters, yeah.
yeah,
Mainly Gautana,
yeah,
the old
Gao,
Gautona, the
yeah,
old guy.
Gao.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they have here Shai was for that crime she was caught and she was supposed to be executed, but the arbiters gave her um they gave her what do you call this, they made a deal with her that
Mm.
she would do um she would make a forgery out of for them. So here I think in this certain culture or place they see forgery as some kind of blasphemy, right? It's
Yeah.
like
It's an abomination. Yeah. Yeah.
to them, the people of this empire, forgery was an abomination for them. However, due to certain circumstances, they needed her skills and they offered her a deal. So, um, so aside from the forgers, they were also there's some kind of other magic I mean other occupation similar to them, but they deal with human flesh, right? They're like
Mm.
doctors, like
Mm.
surgeons
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
would
Yeah. Yeah.
repair physical injuries like that. But
Yeah.
in this particular case, Shai was offered a deal by the arbiters to forge someone and not just
Mhm.
someone.
Yeah. It's the
With if with this as per the title says the emperor's son. So they were asking, so here the emperor was nearly assassinated. His wife was killed during an
mm.
assassination, most likely due to political political reasons, and he was almost killed, and he was like comatose or just like vegetable here. And uh
Mm.
the arbiters were they feared for political instability or their own political power being affected. So they offered Shai if they think that it was possible to forge or forge someone, uh, copy their personality and etc. their form. So I think the forgers are also capable of that since they have that other job like doctor type. But the monumental task here for Shai is to reforge the emperor's soul as uh,
Mm.
as the title indicates. So they needed the emperor to be the same as he was, that their political opponents wouldn't notice anything weird or
Yeah.
anything out of the ordinary with the emperor. So that was basically that's the emperor's soul.
Yeah. But she's gonna be working in a time within a timeline, right? Because
Yeah,
they
they
can
needed.
like yeah,
Uh,
like if the emperor, like in their culture, like it's all right for the emperor not to show his face for 100 days because it's like a part of the mourning process. So
yeah,
there's nothing wrong with other people not seeing the, "Oh, where's the emperor," right, like that. So for 100 days it's fine, but then
mm,
after the 100th day, if it's not yet out, and then they will know that something's wrong, right? They will
yeah,
know that he probably died or something. Yeah.
yeah. That
So
would
it was
be
yeah.
a signal
Yeah.
for the political opponents to make a move. So yeah, they were asking Shai to forge the emperor's soul so that they can bring him back and retain their own political power.
Mm. Yeah, for yeah, in a period of 100 days. And yeah, it's something that yeah, Shai hasn't done before, forging a soul, right? So I think yeah, now we can talk about like a spoiler version. So I think yeah, the first I think we I want to dive and let's flesh out a little bit the magic system, because yeah, if you have Brandon Sanderson, then usually he usually outlines how do you say this, the magic system first, before he it's like part of him fleshing out his world. So it's not yeah, like our surprise, it's not something that like something that's a very important ingredient in its works, that and something that he's not willing to give up even in a expanse of a novella, right? Because you might think na this is a novella, so maybe Brandon has a very little time to develop the plot and the characters, so maybe he will do away with the magic system, maybe he will do away with the, because one of the very, how do you say this, very important components of fantasy is of course the world, right? The world building, like the map and all these things. So obviously this is something that is absent in Emperor's Soul, but the magic system, even though he had only like a little amount of space to describe it, is still he laid it down. And so essentially you have like how do you say this, if you are a forger, you have to be familiar, right, with the like the makeup of a certain object, right?
Correct.
And then in your stamp, and yeah, I think yeah, something Francis mentioned something about they designed the prison to be something that is not quote unquote forgeable, something that the forgers cannot tamper with. And the way they do that is they actually have to make the walls be made of very different materials. That way there's no single material that you can trace, that you can know his history. And because how the
Correct.
magic work is essentially, like, you will rewrite some bits of the history, right? Like, so example, if you want to forge a jar to look like a jar that was made by some artist, for example, so it's like you tell the, like it's as if everything has a soul, even non-living things, and then you tell the quote unquote soul of the jar to be like it will evolve as if it was like handled by the artist, right? And essentially how that's how the of course it's just that there are like a lot of things. It should be like how do you say this, it should be plausible, right? Otherwise the forgery won't hold, right?
Correct.
So yeah, you have like these. So example, if you have a table and then you put a forgery, and then you say I want you write a stamp such that the history of this table is that it was actually designed to be a television instead of a table, then it won't hold, right?
Yeah, it
Because
was.
a table is very far from a television. But if you tell it to be like it's still a table but then designed in a very intricate way, then the forgery will hold. And that's why so here you can see right away the limitation of the magic system is that you can't just create anything, right? It has to be
Correct.
so it has to be based on something, and then you have to know the history of that object, and then what you want it to become has to be at the very least plausible. And so the interesting thing is that now they want to how do you say this apply that at the level of a human being, right? And so
Yeah. So
yeah,
I think
yeah.
in our modern world, what a stamp is like, for example, in our cameras or in the digital world, like, if there's a picture, when you apply a filter, you
Mm.
would significantly change its appearance, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's kind of similar to what forgery does, to things, that it's like it's masking its appearance.
Mm. Yes, yes,
It
yes.
changes it totally, but yeah, it's just like coating or something similar, that when the stamp is taken off, yeah, it will just revert to itself.
Yes. There's this stamp like the stamp like basically tells like contains the instruction of how its history should have been, right? Then
Yes.
otherwise, yeah. And so the funny thing is, yeah, the moment this emperor would be quote unquote forged, then he would have to apply the stamp. I think it's like at the back of his neck, right? He
Yeah.
would he would have to apply this stamp every day so that forgery would hold. But yeah, I think yeah, one of the so again, it's a very weird it's not your usual fantasy where it's epic and all spanning, because majority of the work is in fact it sometimes it feels claustrophobic because majority
Correct.
of the work happens in the prison cell of Shai, right?
Yeah.
And then yeah, you see her figuring out how to be able to you see her essentially, you have this emperor that she doesn't know about, and then she has to learn even without meeting, because at that point in time the emperor it was already in a coma, was already in a vegetable state. So like without knowing the emperor but basing only on those who knew him and how people viewed him, and on his like personal diaries and personal writings, Shai would have to learn how his mind works or something like that, and then she would have to put it in there. And yeah, one of the nice things is that she could put like some little tweaks right on the stamp that
Yeah.
could like she put it there, but it's something that the emperor could plausibly do, right? And so that's why
Correct.
one of the nice things is that so the arbiters are like the, how would you say this, like the counselors or something like that, the
Yeah.
uh
The
like
elders.
a yeah, no, but
Because
only I think only in my imagination only Gautona was the old guy, but yeah, it's like his group of like, I don't know, it's like if like the president, then you have your cabinet, something like that, right? And
that's like
yeah,
that.
so the nice thing is there's like this character Frava, right? Like the one of the villains, so to speak, where she wants like to for it to have a back door or something like that, right? Some sort of
Yeah.
back door where
They
the
could
emperor,
control.
yeah, if the emperor would leave, she would want the emperor like to lean towards like to do favors for her, something like that, right? Right.
Correct.
Yeah, like yeah, so that was the, and then yeah, I think another dynamic that I enjoyed, like once we are going. And yeah, another another thing I'd like to point out is I think you can really feel the urgency because the way Sanderson arranged the chapters is like in the number of days, right? So it's like day 2, day 3, something like that, right? So chapter 2, for example, is day 2. And of course, there are not like 100 chapters because sometimes the days will escape. But I
Yeah.
like the way he divided the different days, and then you can really feel it approaching towards that final resolution, and then you're really rooting for Shy if she's able to do this forgery. Another thing, Franz, that I enjoyed is the dynamics. Every time Gautona visits Shai, right? And so like he doesn't understand like why forgers do the way they do, right? So to him, it's like something like if you have that talent, why do you forge, right? Like that's something uh that is something that he can't appreciate, and then he really wanted, like Shai was also trying to convince him that what they're doing was really worth something. And in fact, uh you remember, Franz, that twist about the painting that she stole, right?
Yeah,
Shai,
correct.
yeah, like she told that, like, Gautona, that in fact, the reason why Shai was in there in the first place was because she was caught getting the actual painting, and then how do you say this, putting the forgery in place of the. But I think the funny thing, the thing that happened, Francis, like, they thought the forgery was the real thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
they thought they returned the original, because they were like, we caught you. So they
Oh,
were like,
yeah.
okay, give us the real thing, and then we put it back. But the funny thing is, the one they put there was actually the forgery, which was right, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So that means that's how good her forgery was. Like, they thought that was the real thing. She was like, oh, I got the real thing, but then she was like trying to hide the forged one, and then they said, give that back. They put what they thought was the real thing, but then it was forged. And
Yeah.
then the real thing, Shai was supposed to take it away, right? But then she got caught. But yeah, sadly, I think I forget the name of the artist. Like, she was the one who hired her to do that, was actually the artist, right?
Yeah, the artist. He wanted
Uh,
to be uh to be taken out of the palace
yeah, like something to do with. Can you remember,
because
Franz? I think he's
it
blind, right? He was
was
blind already, right?
yeah, it was because of his he made the painting for his lover, but
Yeah,
uh
yeah, yeah, yes,
he
yes.
didn't like the way things are going on with the empire, and he didn't want his work to still be in that place because it was not for the empire. It was personally made for his lover, so he no longer wanted it to be there in the empire, which contradicted with this with some of his own personal views. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why he commissioned Shai to get it. And once she got she actually burned the original painting,
Yes.
and
And
she was also after another artifact, the
the
moon
the moon
scepter.
scepter. But this was Franz. Let me go back to that. That's interesting.
Yeah,
The scepter. I'll tell you something.
yeah. I
But
don't know what about anything about that.
the how do you say this? She revealed to Goat, like, they didn't, only Gautana knew, right, that the
Yeah,
painting they had was actually a fake. But yeah, when she said, I burned the original painting, Gautana was like, why did you do it? And then that's the time she revealed it was the
yeah,
original artist. And then yeah, Gautona, didn't know what to feel, right? I think he tried to, like, he tried to, how do you say this, to defend or to justify, saying that, even though he was the original artist, he had no right. And yeah,
yeah,
it creates a very nice debate, right, about art and the things you
yeah.
create. Once you create it, and then once you, like, give it to the world, like, is it still yours, like, you have this.
Or
Yeah,
public.
because yeah, that painter felt like, okay, I painted this, and then, sell it and everything. But yeah, that does he have a right to do that? Like, I'm gonna burn it because I made it for my wife. But then yeah, the public already saw it, and all these things. So yeah, yeah, like, it was like a nice open-ended debate, whether he had the right to burn that original painting, that was, that was like a part of the, already part of their culture, already part of their empire. Yeah, but that was like an eye opener to Gautona. And then I think that's when he started to realize, how awesome really was the, how do you say this, the art of forgery, which
Order.
initially, yeah, he wasn't willing to accept. Yeah, the scepter. So I think there was this character called the Imperial Fool, or something like that,
Yeah, the one who
right?
sold out.
Yeah, the one who how do you say this, who betrayed the uh how do you say this, who betrayed the Shy. So the thing, France, is, I don't know if it's, I can't find it, in the book, if, like, or I don't see the a of an obvious clue. But Brandon Sanderson, and of course the entire fandom of the Cosmere, agrees that that guy is so there's this guy named Hoyd, Hoid, Hoyd,
Mhm.
and he appears in every Cosmere works. So it's
Oh,
like, so yeah, he appears like, so for example in Mistborn, of course his name will be different, right? Like
yeah.
in Mistborn, he's another guy, but then he's the same person. He can essentially jump on those like all different planets. He's this all
Oh,
powerful dude, and people in Cosmere don't really know what his motivations are, but yeah, he shows themselves to the main character. Like for example, in Stormlight Archive, he was very prominent there, and I love like he had a very nice speech in book one of Stormlight Archive, something about like I think which is also relevant in Emperor Soul. So something about he asked what is something that is very important that a civilization usually puts a premium to, and it's essentially the idea of how do you say this priority or coming up with something first, right? So that it's like it's something, so even if someone already came up with it first, even though like no matter how bad it is or something, but he did it first, right? So even if you
yeah.
did it independently, right, like you say, oh, but I never heard of his work, I also came out of I thought of that on my own. So no matter what it is, art or I don't know, new movement or new kind of music genre or science or whatever, usually whoever did it first, right? It's like, right, you get what I mean, right? Our
Yeah,
civilization is like, oh, he
like the
thought it first or
space
he drew it
race.
first, right? Yeah, so yeah, Hoyd, yeah, it's like he asked the main character, what do you think is something that we put like we value above all else, and that it's that idea, right? Hoyd said something about, it's the idea
Yeah.
of this of priority. It's the idea of whoever did it first. That's something that, yeah, which is very important here, right? Because the magic of forgery, as like it spits into the face of that, right? So okay, you did it first, but I can forge, right? Something,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, it's still unknown because yeah, Hoyd also, or the emperor, the Imperial Fool, only appeared. In fact, I think Brandon Sanderson said in the initial in the initial versions of the Emperor's Soul, there was like a more detailed prologue that actually showed that scene,
That
behind the
scene.
scene
Yeah.
of Hoyd, or of the Imperial Fool selling out Shai. But yeah, in the final draft, it wasn't included, but it's that guy. So yeah, in all the Cosmere, so like Elantris, Warbreaker, Stormlight Archive, Mistborn, White Sun, and all these worlds, that guy
Is
will be
there.
there. Yeah, yeah, it is weird. Yeah, so
I
but
think
yeah, I
it's an
think yeah,
interesting character.
he
Very
is
interesting character.
he's very interesting character because in Stormlight Archive, he's also like some sort of a fool in like, so you have this king, right,
Oh.
and then he's the king's fool. His character is like something like that, but very, and then yeah, when he was when he became, when he became this, so he was like a fool when I first saw him in the Stormlight Archive. You have this character that's a fool, right, and
Yeah.
then it will shock you because like towards the end he's like this, all-knowing guy. Yeah, it's very weird. Yeah, so yeah, that's this guy. So we don't actually know, and some people really, again, we don't know what will happen, but some people really put something, they interpret something about that moon scepter, right? I think that moon scepter will do this, will do that, and then they are looking for the next work where that guy Hoyd will appear with that moon scepter, that moonlight scepter.
Ooh.
So yeah, so but it's very
So
interesting. Yeah, so he got that,
let's
he
check
got
out
that in Emperor Soul. Yeah, in fact, yeah,
them.
there's like another world that is a bit, how do you say this? That happens on the exact same planet that Emperor Soul is happening, which is, and that is of course his very first novel, Elantris. And
Ooh.
so the magic system is a bit similar. It's not exactly like, no, it's not like stamping and stuff, but the
Yeah.
idea is the same. You do like some sort of a diagram, and then to do something in here, like in the magic system in Emperor Soul, like you have a stamp and then you stamp it in like on an object, right, and then it does something. So in the same planet, but in the different novel in Elantris, so entirely different set of characters. So they there's also some sort of a stamp, they do something, but then they like do it in like an empty air, and then they twist it, and then
Oh.
something will happen, and then it's as if it something like yours. It's so the idea is like there's this the real physical world, and then
Mm-hmm.
uh in some other plane there's this called the soul world or something like that, which
Mm-hmm.
is of course essentially what in the Emperor's Soul, what Shai is like tapping,
Yeah.
right, or tweaking when she does the stump and then she turns it. But yeah, in Elantris, like they do it even
On
without
the
an
air.
object, right? They access it and then
They
something will happen.
can
That's like,
change reality.
yeah, that's the
Wow.
magic system in Elantris. But yeah, it's
I
again, it's not
think
all powerful because you have to create something that's very intricate. And
mhm,
yeah, it's something. And the reason why uh we can tell that it's the same magic system, it's because in Elantris, when you do that like equation or something, then the marks that you do,
yeah.
like it has something to do with your homeland. Like it has to like the
Mm-hmm.
markings, the markings that you do has to be reminiscent of like the map of where you're coming from or something like that. And then if you
Mm-hmm.
read somewhere, it's very subtle, but if you read like in Emperor's Sword, I think somewhere there it says, Shai likes to draw diagrams that reminds her of her. I
Yeah.
think it's called Maipon,
She
Maipon, right, or something like that.
mhm,
Maipon,
yeah,
the name
she
of her
said it
land.
later on the
Yeah,
story.
she mentioned something like
It
that, and
turned
then that
into
was the okay,
seven.
so it's the same. It's like the same magic system in Elantris. Yeah, but unfortunately, yeah, Elantris like is a standalone novel, so it's like it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have a sequel. So people actually don't know if those characters will
Come
come
back.
back. It's also very interesting. Yeah, maybe we should read. It's also fairly short, and it was Brandon Sanderson's first ever novel,
Mm-hmm.
Elantris. So it was yeah, it was really good. Yeah, but yeah, so I was saying yeah, so you have this Yahoid about the moon scepter and stuff. Yeah, so
Yeah, it would be good
very
if we'll see it later on in his verse.
I'm pretty sure we'll see it later on. Yeah,
What he
yeah,
will
it was very nice. Like the first time I witnessed that, like before I didn't pay attention to it, but then the first time I witnessed that was in book two of Stormlight Archive, where
mhm,
something from another novel just arrived there, and so I was so happy that I read that novel first before I read book two of Stormlight Archive, because oh, of course we without reading it, you still okay, you
yeah,
have this character, but then you realize oh that's exactly the character from this novel, which is very awesome because
yeah,
like that guy was a very awesome character. And then aside from Hoyd, because Hoyd was the one that can go to all these different systems or different planets. But yeah, you have that's the first time that like a main character or from a novel appeared in another series, which is very good. So yeah, it's gonna be like a very grand crossover that Sanderson is planning. It's like like I think the way he described it is like an epic to end all epics. Like he has these different epics, and then how do you say this?
combine
Do the do the crossover. Yeah. So yeah, one thing that I also want to add, France, or to how do you say this, to bring out is I don't know what year did he 2013. So that was like the time, like you see now there are like debates right now that's very similar to the forgery of Shai, right? Because you see how uh like what you see now, like a lot of arts being generated like in Facebook, for example, France, you see this, right?
the AI.
Exactly, the AI. And then this AI that we feed uh basically they learn from uh existing arts of other people, right? So yeah, it's not exactly forgery, but there's like it's even, I don't know. One can argue that it's not really like, you can like if you rank them according to like which is the most blasphemous or which is the most abominable, then forgery is like at the top, right? Like, oh, you
Yeah.
just forged it, right? And then versus what the AI is doing is like, so you can like basically do a painting of this scenery in the style of you know Pablo Picasso or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. So I don't know, like because in this book, I don't know what Brandon Sanderson thinks about it, but yeah, because in the Emperor's Soul, he was like able to like at least defend that. Yeah, even if it's a forgery, it has its merits, right? Like I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, even if yeah, well, you can argue that. So you have a painting and then you take a picture, that's also like a perfect forgery, right? But
Okay.
we don't actually call that art. But yeah, in here, to become a forger, it requires a lot of technicalities. But yeah, I don't know, like where do you stand about that? Like I've seen artists, like do you want me to name drop? I think Like I see famous artists that are really against, they're like, oh, this shouldn't happen, like we shouldn't feed AI with our work. I think
No,
that's their
I
argument.
think
Yeah.
I think my stance there is kind of the same with how machines are replacing the jobs of people. For
Oh, the
example,
the broadcaster in GMA.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Aside from that, for example, yeah, for though let's say the um like automated production, you would be
Mm.
basically uh replacing factory workers,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
machinery in farms. You're replacing the jobs of farmers and
Mm.
etc. So though yeah, it artists are complaining about it now, but yeah, I think it's just the same with the rest of the jobs because later on art is art is basically what just people like. So if people
Mm.
like this kind of art, even if
But
you are
but
very
but
good, but
yeah,
if
I think I
the
think
people
I think
don't
one
like your
yeah.
art, you will fall in obscurity
Yeah, 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 yeah.
like that. So even if
Yeah.
there's an AI mass producing it, I think it still hinges with the consumers how they would accept it because
Yeah.
if yeah, similar to uh forgery, if yeah, we would really require a very masterful forger to do the forgery, but
Mm.
you won't it it would be rare to also have that kind of uh that master level forger, so it wouldn't really affect much of the um artist on that side, especially music. If um
Yeah.
if you we have that similar scene like if just just like for example what the the one you used to quote before, like Jenny and birthday, they sound the same.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yes, yes, yes.
they just have different lyrics, but they sound the
Yeah.
same. So yeah, it's kind of just like that, but it would depend on people if they would like it or not. But I even see here lately like parody, like Weird Al Yankovic. He
Mm, mm.
does parody, so it's kind of like forgery, just
Yeah, yeah.
the parody, but it's fun. You would appreciate it sometimes. It would even be better, like just like Bitoy is doing also the same kind
Mm.
with uh his music. And lately there like the covers, there are cover bands, but people don't hate cover bands, right?
Yeah.
Cover bands do well, and they later on gain um their own, like for example, I don't know what cover band is very successful now. I can't think anything on top of my head except Dark Side of the Moon, where their covers
Mm.
are very good, but you won't see those kinds of things more prominent than the originals. So um in for AI generated art, I think it's the advantage will it is they can produce more than an artist,
Yeah.
right? So with our fast paced culture right now, we want things to get faster. We would want it to be updated like that. So I think uh that's the only advantage of it. But as with computers, like they can do calculations faster than our own.
Mm.
So that would be their only advantage. But if you can really do art or do things that it would be difficult for um difficult for machines to replicate.
Mm.
So yeah, I don't think there would be an issue for AI generated art
Yeah.
because there are industries even as of now that aren't automated. For example, let's say the you know about saffron and vanilla ingredients, right?
Mm, mm. Yep, yep, yep.
So yeah, we can buy vanilla in the supermarket, the regular kind, but that's not the vanilla bean extract
Mm.
that is really top
It's a
quality.
forgery.
Yeah, it's a forgery, but if you compare it to the original, its quality is very far from the
Mm,
original. Or like caviar,
mm.
you would really need human precision hands to do those things, and as of now they are unable to automate it. That's why like that saffron and
Mm.
vanilla are still very, and caviar are still very expensive if you buy the original one, because
Yeah, yeah,
uh AI cannot replicate it.
yeah.
Also, for example, the truffle, the most expensive truffles are the ones that grow naturally, so you can't culture it. So uh, that's why it's still very expensive. So
Mm,
I think this is just like for AI generated art.
yeah.
It's not really a threat unless you are a mediocre kind of
Yeah.
artist.
But
And
I think yeah, the worry is yeah. So for example, yeah, I think yeah, you have like a good analogy with food, right? Because right now we have like
Hmm.
alternatives. So I think yeah, that's one of their worries is that it like in a practical point of view, it's like it cuts their share of from their livelihood. So for example, like if you're an artist that generates, I don't know, logos or images for album covers or something like that, so instead of people coming to you, hey, can you generate me a unique logo, this is the name of my company, here's our slogan, can you make us a logo, but then instead of going to them, people will just be like, I can do this with AI, right? So I think yeah. So like that's one of their worries, I think. And then the other one is uh a more personal, like, because usually when you talk about art, right, like, there's this like human connection
yeah,
to it, right? If you have like, what is art, so usually you think about it's something that's being produced by another human, right? So I think yeah, right now it's still weird. I don't know, maybe they will redefine art in the future where it can be anything, it can be produced by anything as long as it evokes emotion on your side, that's fine. But I think right now the way art is being defined is like very two-way, right? Usually, if you read a
yeah.
story or you listen to music, you look at a painting. Who did this? Like, right? We have like, who wrote this song? Who wrote this story? Who did this painting? And then we always like ask, why did he paint this? Like, what was going through his mind? What was his, what happened in his life that he was able to create such? It's not something that we get from like AI, right? Like, if it's like, this is very good. Like it evoked a feeling on your side. And then you ask, who did this? And then if they say, it's AI, like you don't know how to react, right? Like, how did they, right? You get what I mean? So
Well,
I think, yeah,
for
yeah.
example, in the case of forgers, you can just leave. You set up a persona for the AI, and they wouldn't really know. For example, if uh, let's say you produce something bad, then you low quality, but you connect it with a certain famous person or celebrity, people will
Mm,
still buy it even if
exactly. Exactly. Yes,
it's
yes,
bad
yes.
quality. So I don't think, yeah, it's an issue for most of the artists, but uh, we will
How about this, Pras? Yeah, that's a
it
good
still
point. So
falls
yeah, what
on
if
the
like, what if this
branding.
happens? So from the artist side, okay, so we're worried
Yeah.
about, artists would be obsolete. What if, so that's a good point that you pointed out, because what if like this, let's say I'm a painter or I'm a writer, so you need to produce, I'm famous, right? I need to produce. And then
Mhm.
what if I just do this? Okay, let's say I'm a famous painter and then I just do, okay, I my existing painting, I train an AI, or my existing stories or my existing whatever, and then I just say, okay, create new paintings in the style of Marvin Flores. So
I think it's not
is that going to be a problem?
necessarily. No, I think. it's already happening in the current art world right now.
No, no, no. Yes,
I'm
yes,
sure
it's
you
happening. But
know.
I mean, what I mean is, what if the artists themselves do that? You get my point. So it's like,
Yeah,
what if, I don't know, what if Brandon Sanderson, instead of him writing, he will just say, I'm not feeling well right now, or I feel lazy today. What if I just do say to an AI, create a plot in the style of Brandon Sanderson? So yeah,
well,
that was
if
like
for example, if you're a fan, I think you won't appreciate it really if
hmm.
you're a fan. But if
No, no,
you
but the thing is, what if it's something that they do not divulge, right? Like, I
Mhm.
wrote that, but then behind the curtain, right? Like behind the curtain, it was like all our AI generated, right?
Yeah, it would be I think it would be, yeah, disappointing. But if we
We
won't
wouldn't know.
know, if we wouldn't know, and if it turns out great, I think people will accept it. But yeah, it's on the matter of ethics. I think that's already a part of the ethics. But
Yeah,
um yeah, it's not different from what's happening. Like there are ghostwriters both
we should.
for
Yeah,
the
now
music
I just
and
remember this. France, we should
yeah.
read this story. I think it's called Cal or something like that. There's a story by Isaac Asimov where he trained a robot to
Oh,
write a story. It's very fascinating because yeah, initially he writes a very stupid stuff like, I have the robot, I write a story, but then eventually you see the evolution of the robot, the
yeah.
way he writes a story. It's very, I think we should read that in the future. It's very interesting. Yeah. It touches on that topic definitely. Yeah, but I think, yeah, when it comes to, so like, yeah, an art is one thing, but when it comes to, like, I don't know, things like manual labor and stuff, I think we are only affected if it's like our generation, right? So something like broadcasting, right? So
Yeah.
those who are taking journalism, they're the ones that are heavily affected. But you brought something about computers, right? Like in the past, computers are like literal human beings. There are
Correct.
specifically jobs, who people who are computer, their job is to compute, right? They're like,
Yeah.
I want to compute something, can I hire a computer? They are literal people, right? And they're like, okay, let's compute. But yeah, I can imagine during their time they also felt bad that they were eventually replaced by calculator and stuff like that. So I think, yeah, we're seeing resistance in our era because, I don't know, it's happening in our age. And
Well,
then
I think
yeah,
it's only normal because we're doing jobs so that we can survive. So it's just like
yeah,
survival instinct. So yeah, it's just like having we there are already tons of people who can compete for their job. So it's just like adding more competition to you. So
yeah.
it would
I think,
be
yeah. So the number one question, I think everyone would say no. Really, really, right? They can
yeah,
defend it to their lives that the answer would be no. But the question would be, is your job replaceable by an AI? And I'm pretty sure anyone could defend, right? If you're a broadcaster, no, it's not because blah 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 blah. But right, I think anyone can put for, is an artist replaceable by an AI? So even if objectively the answer is yes, not to any specific job, right? But even if
yeah,
objectively the answer is yes, I think, yeah, people defending their job would come up with an argument saying, no, it can't be replaced, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
It's a
that's like an
matter of
interesting question.
basically people. It's a matter of survival because yeah, we
Yeah.
work so that we can eat.
Hmm.
And if we lose that part, that would be bad for us.
Yeah. So yeah, can writers be replaced by AI or something like that? Yeah, and then they will argue, it can't because when you write, it's based on experience, something like that. But then the AI can study, you
Yeah,
know,
they can.
multiple experiences, can live multiple of your lifetimes by, right? by
Yeah,
training
they
stuff. Yeah.
can.
So
They can do it faster than us.
yeah, yes, yeah. We
They
live in a
don't.
very interesting age.
They also
Yeah.
don't need to sleep.
Yeah, exactly. They don't get tired, yeah, things like that. But yeah, I think, yeah, eventually we're starting to see it now with, like, I think GMA is not even budging, right? They use the one in how we say this, the UAEP or something like that, the basketball thing. So they have like an AI, Maya. Maya, I think is the name of the girl AI, and
I
then
think
Marco.
aside from I think they're also doing it to garner attention towards them. As
Yeah.
we all know, it's the viewership.
I think yeah, eventually if it becomes a norm, it will be in their favor. They will be like, ah, we
Yeah,
did it first, you
they
know.
were the
People
first.
crucified us, but we did it first. Yeah. I think yeah. I think yeah, we're coming in it's like it's really a turning point. Like at that start with the chat GPT and all these things. I tell my class that like I emphasize to my class that it's a very important turning point because in the future, so like if we read works from the past, so I always tell my class, so we read the works of I don't know, Michael Faraday, Isaac
Mhm.
Newton, Albert Einstein. There's no question in our mind that they wrote that, right? But imagine
Correct.
us in the future, anything we write, people in the future would just say, ah, maybe he used an AI. Ah, I think he just generated that with an AI. Sounds very, I think that was just AI, right? So that's something, right? That's something that's like lost in our civilization, in our era, is that in the future, people will look back at us and then things that we write, that we genuinely write, that we genuinely paint or we genuinely produce, people can just argue in the future, ah, he probably did it using AI. He probably generated that with AI. Yeah, that's like, yeah,
Well,
that's
unless the stigma of AI changes, because if we view
yeah.
AI as a tool, so for example,
Yeah, yeah.
you make a sculpture, but if we apply it to what the future generation think, I made that sculpture using a drill. I made it
Yeah,
using a
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
power
yeah,
saw
yeah.
instead of just using chisel and hammer. So if we view AI as a tool, I think it's not really that bad thinking about it, because
No, but
uh,
I think yeah, but I mean, you can argue that it's different because it's like with chisel and tool. Even if you use a drill, at the end of the day, you can't just leave them to create it, right? Like you can't just but you still, you know, even if he used a drill,
you
he still
can
had, right?
there are
But AI
machines
it's
like that.
different. Like I can just do this, right? And then make an AI
Yeah,
write an essay or something, right? So in fact you can do that. Like that's one of the first that I tried with the chat GPT. I asked it to write a horror story. Of course it sucks, the story sucks, but it can write, right? So I think yeah,
yeah,
once it improves, it's just like the short story of Isaac Asimov. Right now it sucks, but then eventually we'll see its improvement. In fact I
yeah.
wrote
I think.
yeah, you know, he didn't reply. I think Fred Jordan, you know, the poet from Siliman. Shout out. I don't know if he watches this, you know, but if he does, yeah, I one of the things I did when I did the chat GPT was I asked it to write a poem,
Mhm.
right? And then since of course personally I'm not a poet, I couldn't judge the merit if the poem was good or not, right? Like
Mhm. Yeah.
personally I can't tell. I'm not a poet, and then of course, yeah, I can't appreciate if a poem is really good or not. You know, I have some reservations about poems, but I'm not into poetry. I can't tell if a poem is good. So I sent it to him like, this is a poem generated by an AI. Like how can you tell it was written by an AI? Like how do you, diba? Like if you submit a poetry to something, how do they know if it's written by an AI or not? Yeah, but he did not reply. I said,
Yeah, I
he
think
did reply.
in
Yeah,
in the future, things done by AI shouldn't really matter production wise. I think it would only
yeah,
matter in a competition, like for example,
yeah, 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 yeah.
blacksmithing.
Yeah.
Blacksmithing has gone already wayside compared before, where you manually do it with
Mm,
hammers and like that. There's already something like a CAD operated machine cutting tool
mm,
that they can just cut metal from something that would for example, you cut out a sword, so it would
mm.
be faster than just forging sword from scratch
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
different ways. So I think, yeah, I think that, and people will buy, for example, like uh stuffs from movies, for example, the Frostmourne. I doubt that uh all those things sold are handcrafted, right? So yeah,
Mm.
if they handcraft it, yeah, that would raise the value. But
Mhm.
if they buy something mass produced by AI
But then
or
yeah, that Franz, that
machine,
goes back to my initial question. They will claim it's handcrafted, but it was
yeah,
just mass produced by AI.
yeah, but
Yeah.
I think, well, they can just also document it.
Yeah.
They can
Yeah,
document
it's
it.
very yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's very tricky this I can't believe that we're but it's also interesting, right, that we live in that
Also, for
era.
example,
Yeah.
in the music industry, pretty much our music industry is controlled by statistics. Even how songs are
Mm,
made
yeah.
are
For those that will be suggested to you and stuff,
yeah.
yeah.
Not
Yeah.
for example, not in YouTube. For example, how they compose songs. So
Okay, okay.
they
You
would
mean
have
the okay.
those, yeah, they would have those staff that would
Mm,
tell them, this part, people would get a high in this part and they would like this kind of sound. So you integrate it, judging, for example, I think April may know about it in marketing. They would research what stuff would hit or would sell. So
mm, mm.
the artist would lean towards that, or for example, their manager will tell them, you do this. But yeah, you would also ask him, did the artist really do this with their own emotion, or was the song composed guided by those statistics
Yeah.
uh, told to them by their managers or producers and like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
I think
it's
also
not
I
really
think
that different with AI
yeah.
created music.
Yeah. Also, I think at the end of the day, what AI, at least currently as it stands, what AI lacks really is novelty, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's not something like it's well, I'm not saying that they can't. It would be interesting to have an instruction to an AI. Okay, create a painting that's not in the style of anyone, right? Like
yeah,
that's something I don't think that an AI can do that because they are being trained with the existing ones. But yeah, that's always something that would be in favor of humans is like novelty, right? Like it's not something because even with like music they check trends, right? But you couldn't really predict if someone creates something that is new. It's not part of their data set, right? They can't say, oh, that style is actually selling. We didn't know because it wasn't, no one created it before. So I think
correct.
that's still something that's in our favor, something that's novel, that something that won't be created by an AI because it wasn't part of its training, right? The data set
Um,
that it had are
in
only existing
terms
ones. Yeah.
in terms of novelty, I think the AI are getting there. For example, there's this
Mm.
AI metal band. I said a
Oh
couple.
yeah, yeah. I think no, these are very Franz. These are very freaky because I also see like a YouTube channel that does AI composition, and then he will be like, create a song in the style of Iron Maiden, and it's very. I
Exact.
mean, I can't. If I listen to it, I'm like, damn, it's like I wish Iron Maiden wrote this. It's very it's very cunning. The way it can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, but this one, it's an original. Their style is
Oh, it's an original composition. Yeah,
yeah.
I'll have a look at this. Yeah,
And it
Frostbite. Oh, okay.
sounds good.
Yeah.
So I think the AI already somewhere there in the novelty sense. Yeah, we will
Mhm.
expect it to, because
Yeah,
yeah,
it's very
later
easy now. Yeah.
on we've already had it in many different literature that
Mm.
AI will be part of our society sooner or later.
Yeah. Yeah. It looks good. I heard it. Sounds like power metal stuff.
Yeah, and what they did with
So
this,
even the lyrics are what generated by AI
yeah,
or just the
they,
sound, just the
they
music.
are made by AI. So what
Oh
they
yeah,
did
yeah.
with this
So
AI is they just taught them the basics of music.
It's very similar to it's similar to that guy that does, but what he does is in style of a specific sound because sometimes you want to listen to a certain band but they
Yeah,
they only have such discography, right? Are these the only songs they have? Okay, what if they created something that sounds like this? It's very interesting as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like so
something.
songs in the style of Iron Maiden, and then it's very it really sounds like Iron Maiden. It's very, and then even the lyrics, right? Even the lyrics, it's like something that would come out of Iron Maiden. So very weird. So I don't know if like bands would do that in the future. Like Iron Maiden, we don't have an idea anymore. What if we ask an AI to create, and then we just yeah. So that's
Yeah,
my
I
worry, right?
think at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it would depend on one's first
Eh,
ethics and
It's just your
their
integrity, right?
their pride. Yeah, their
Yeah, yeah,
integrity, pride, and
yeah,
ethics,
yeah,
which
yeah,
which are important to some fans because the end of the day, it's the fans that would make or break the
yeah,
band if they would
yeah.
support them or not.
Yeah, so this is very interesting, right? Yeah, something that it gave us it's a nice segue to the Emperor Soul, because at the end of the day, Emperor Soul is something like that. The merits of a forgery, if you're doing something that's based on an existing work, is that
Yeah.
fine and stuff? Yeah. But yeah, so I anything else, Franz, you want to add about like the Emperor Soul? So yeah, we discuss a lot, even though this is like only 100+ pages. It's like a
Yeah.
novella. Yeah.
In the Impersonal, I think it would it touches that of the AI, and also I think the interesting part here is on Brandon Sanderson's concept of the soul and in his universe. So that's something I would look forward in his other works, understanding how he goes up about his souls, because I think it uh something as you mentioned earlier in Elantria, the Lantria, is that yeah,
Elantris.
Elantris, that
Yeah.
they will be using the soul. So I think it would also be uh good thing to look forward to how he goes about it. So I does he only use it in this certain world, or
It,
will it
it's
also
just
be
this,
applied?
yeah, which is weird, because I think he can. The thing is, right, like he can do a lot from this,
Yeah,
right? Like he could have easily stretched this into a novel or something. Like, for
right.
example, the backstory of Shy, the backstory of the arbiters, the world, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He could have easily expanded it into. But I also like the fact that something that when I read this first, something that I thought would happen, but I was happy that he did not, like, is like a romance between Shy and the Emperor.
Uh
You notice there's none, right? Like,
yeah, there's none.
it's something that I like when I was reading it first, like it's something that I expected, and I was like telling myself, if this will happen, it's too cliche. It's like I was
Yeah.
glad that it did not happen. Like that, you know, at the end of the day, like Shai was like even stamping herself with he had the very powerful stumps, right? You remember the one for the
Yeah,
beggar,
she
the
had
one for the
5.
warrior. We didn't
Yeah.
even talk about that, but yeah, she at the end she stamped herself with like kung fu or stuff like that, and fought the blood sealer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that was something I thought would happen, like a romance between the emperor, like I know about you, but you don't know about me, like that, and then they develop a
You
romance.
mean that she would manipulate the
No, no,
emperor?
no, 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 not manipulate. Like she didn't do that, right? She didn't manipulate it. But I mean,
Uh,
when they met for the first time, like, who are you? I'm a girl. I know about you, and
um,
I don't know you. And then they develop into a love story. I thought, I thought that would happen when I read it first, and then I was like, it's gonna be corny at the end. But he
yeah,
didn't do that. Like
but it's good he
Brandon's
didn't do it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Brandon like stopped himself, like, okay, this is not, like, yeah, like in a how do you say this, if you make this into something like a Netflix series, or in the
Mm,
in the popular media, people would be disappointed if that won't happen, right? Like people would expect that, they don't fall in love, boo. But
happily ever after.
yeah, it's good that he did that. So yeah, this is like one of the art in the, oh yeah, this one very nice. uh yeah, Shy doing it on the wall, right? It was funny, right? Like while she was staying there for 100 days, like
Yeah,
her prison cell became one of the most beautiful room in the castle, because she's like recreating. Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, but yeah,
that's
so
awesome.
yeah, anything else, Franz, you want to add? But yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to future works, but by Brandon Sanderson. But I think yeah, we changed the December one. I think Gardens of the Moon will still be fine
Yeah,
by how do you say this, Steven Erickson. But I think at least we have one from Brandon Sanderson. So in the future, yeah, we can revisit his works. So yeah. So anything else, Franz, you want to add about the
yeah.
Emperor Soul?
One of, I think, something we missed that I think we should discuss is about Gautona and his interactions with
Oh,
Shai, his
and his
history
really
with the Emperor,
and
and
his relationship with the emperor, yeah,
yeah,
because at the end, right, when he when the emperor, when of course, it goes without saying the stamp work, right, and then in the
yeah,
last parts he was like interacting with the emperor, and then at the back of his mind, which that's so uncanny, like
yeah,
it's really something he would say, right, like
correct,
uh yeah, he was convinced himself that yeah, I think yeah, the thing that stuck with me when so his interaction with Shai and Gautona was that when Shai said when something Gautona said, so you were just manipulating me, or you were just how do you say this, you were just trying to fool me or something like that, and then I think Shai said something along the lines of I fooled you by being genuine, something like that, right?
correct.
Yeah, she
Because
said, yeah.
yeah, because with, I think, in Shai's perspective, as what was talked to her, when dealing with someone who is far more experienced and cunning than you,
Mm,
being honest and genuine is the best. But
exactly.
you can also, the way she did what she did with her honesty is a brilliant way of also leading Gautona to also, because you remember when you said that when uh Gautona thought he was fooled, because the scene there was
Yeah,
she
yeah, yeah.
went to the emperor, she stamped the emperor.
Yeah, yeah,
She
yeah.
would
That was
she
yeah.
would be escaping after that,
Mm.
but she was followed by the blood.
The blood sealer, yeah.
Yeah, the blood. She was unfortunately um injured by the guard captain
Mm.
when
Captain Yu, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember
she
the
set
captain. Yeah.
during when on the day of her escape, she set up a trap that uh
Mm.
that the captain fell, but he managed to injure her with his sword. So even if the blood seekers spell or magic expired during that day,
Mhm.
he had a fresh batch of blood
Sample,
from
yeah,
the
yeah.
captain. That's why he was
Mm.
still able to cast the spell again. But Shai, knowing Gautona, she anticipated him to be on the Emperor's chamber after the
Mm.
commotion Shai
Mm.
caused,
Mm.
and she counted on him bringing her seals. That was
Yep.
why she got her seals, that she would become the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
powerful warrior.
Yeah, yeah, we didn't even mention that. Yeah, she had this like the most important skills that she worked, that
Yeah,
you have to work for a lifetime for, right, designing it, and then it will change
correct.
your entire being.
Yeah, that's something what I like with this Brandon's work on this Emperor Soul, is how he is how he made the interactions of Shai and Gautona, and also with the Emperor, on how it will all end at last. And also one of the interesting things in her seal was the final seal that she wouldn't use, the one that would change her to someone normal.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned,
So someone that is not a forger, yeah.
yeah, something that
Mm.
I think would be interesting is, since you can stamp or you can forge your own. I think, yeah, I think it would be interesting dynamic
Yeah,
For you
it's a
can,
very interesting magic system, right? Because you
yeah,
can imagine,
you
oh,
can
okay, pap, pap,
change
pap.
yourself.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
correct.
Yeah, you have like, yeah, it's interesting. But I think yeah, the ending also, that one of the nicest things was when Shai was reflecting about in the end part, right?
Yeah,
Like she
it,
was like,
it
here's
is.
my best work, like, because like that's one of the things that gives the forger the highest form of pride, right? Like,
Yes,
having their work in full display, but not people not knowing that's actually your work because
yes,
it is
that's
forged, right?
correct.
So it's like, yeah, she was very proud, like, this is my magnum opus, my masterpiece. Yeah. The emperor. Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah.
maybe that would what that would what made some artists would think later on if they use AI.
Yeah.
They didn't do it.
Yeah, they will be like, this, yeah. 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 Yeah, very interesting. So hopefully, yeah, Sanderson would have a time to, go back to this universe and stuff like that. But even then, just a novella in itself is very self-contained. So that's why, I wasn't surprised that it won the, how do you say this, Hugo in 2013, even though it had like very competitive, like the nominees during that year were very good as well. But yeah, his was the one that became on top. So it was very nice. Okay. So I think, yeah. So our next France was is
The
the
fisherman.
fisherman, right? So it's gonna be horror. So of course, obviously this is our fantasy offering for this is like the second to the last fantasy of the year, because the next one would be in the December already, which is of
Yep.
course Gardens of the Moon. The next one for September is of course The Fisherman, which is it's beside the Junji Ito, because we swap essentially the horror and so that we
Yeah.
can do end of October horror. But this one is it's for September. So very very interesting. Yeah, John Langan. The Fisherman. Yeah. So it's very good. So yeah, this we were gonna be discussing that next, and then end of October, France would be Uzumaki, right?
Yep.
Yujito. So
Uzuma.
hopefully, Barry. So we have like
Yeah.
another friend who may join us, Barry. Barry Malibiran. He's like part of the OG book
Yeah,
lovers
the
club in
OG.
high school. Barry Malibiran.
It's
He
up
has
to you.
he wrote he no mine was It's Up to You. His is It's Your Choice.
It's your
Uh
choice. Yeah.
it's Your Choice. Yeah. Yeah. He wrote yeah, classics like that. So it will be nice to for Barry. But I think, yeah, right. I'm not sure if it's in the if it's in the Philippines right now. So if it's in a different time zone, so I don't know. Hopefully we can find a nice how do you say this schedule. But yeah, I told Barry I don't think he can, yeah, he can do it with the Fisherman, but I told him to start with the Uzumaki, because
Yeah.
now that his Kindle is new, so he will still
Yep.
have the the urge to read it because it's new, right? He has a new stuff. So I told him that, yeah, our next one will be Uzumaki, and then followed by Sci-Fi, which is Nightfall by Asaka Asimov, and then finally Gardens of the Moon by Steven Erickson. Okay, so I think that's it. You have any final words, Franz, to our yeah. So
Yeah.
hopefully, Barry will be here
I
in the
think
next two. Yeah.
it would also be nice if our viewers could also share their thoughts about the
Oh
AI
yeah, and
in
yeah,
the
exactly. And
comments.
if they have like, or if they have like recommendations that what we want to, to
Alright.
tackle and stuff like that. Yeah. Right now, yeah, in our first year, I'm just the one that is you know pushing, stories to for Francis to read. But maybe as we move forward, Francis, if you want, just tell me if you there are like some stuff that you also want to read, then maybe we can do that.
Yeah,
Right. Like,
maybe
yeah.
we can expand to other genres. Maybe we
Yeah,
can
yeah, exactly. Like we can do, I don't know,
do other.
realist or mode. We can do Philippine literature.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. Yeah. So, okay. So
Uh,
I think with that, that's the this is the
um,
August edition of our books lovers club. Shot at the end of September, but it's fine because usually the next one is gonna be near this, which is the
yeah.
Fisherman by John Langan. Okay. So with
Okay.
that, I think I can now end the recording. So again, thanks for watching the August episode of Book Lovers Club. Hope to see
See
you
you
next time. So
again.
we'll have three more. So that's insane. We already read like nine, right?
Yeah.
Nine over the year. So it's nice because it doesn't feel like we wasted a year. Like what did you do? I read a lot. I read a lot in 2023, right? Okay. So I think so I can end his and then I'll send you friends the link. Okay. So let me end the recording in 3, 2, 1. Wait, I'm trying to look for the record button. I can't seem to find the record button. Here. Okay, let me stop the recording in 3, 2, 1.